honestly affect the NSE. So the market was closed yesterday, so we're a bit insulated from that. So we'll see how the market plays out today. Yeah.
It wasn't really nice yesterday, the first official trading day, even though we're on holiday here.
Yes.
And this morning, the numbers are already showing that the global stock market is still in negative territory. If you're watching this all the way from Asia right now, the markets, the stock market still, ooh.
Yes.
Very
and I think another
red,
salient point is
the... You mean the numbers? Okay. We're seeing some green shoots. The Japanese market is down by 0.5%. Yes. The Chinese, about 0.2%. That's good. About the Shanghai market was 1%. That's great. That's serious. And the Indian market, the Singapore market. So it's a little bit mixed starting today, whether the fear, the trade war and the fear over Donald Trump's statement about Amazon and whatever is beginning to taper off, and the investors are saying, look, let's get back to business. Let's just ignore what he says and let's continue to reprice some of these risky assets moving forward. But I like the Nigerian story, and if we just push that forward and you look at, put that next on our screen, just to further explain what you said earlier about the index of the Nigerian market when we finished off on March 29th. And the consumer goods market, that's coming right. Okay, there we go. Talk us through that.
Yes, the consumer goods sector ended March very strongly with a gain of roughly 1.55%. The overall market gained 1.72%. So it ended the market very strongly with a quarter-to-date gain of 8.53%. So that's very good news for the country, for investors especially. And I think another salient point on our burning issues list is that the Senate has finally passed the PIGB. So both houses have now passed the PIGB issues, just waiting for the assent by the president. So
will the PIGB move the needle as far as the oil sector investment is concerned? We need serious reforms. Will the PIGB cut the ice?
I'll say not yet. The PIGB deals with a very important issue of the original PIB, which is the unbundling of the NNPC to promote greater transparency, accountability, and efficiency. However, the more controversial aspects of the PIB are still not to be dealt with, such as the establishment of physical terms for upstream operations, the funding for host communities, how all revenue will be shared. Those have not been dealt with. And you can see that those are the most important issues. So
the PIGB, which is the governance part of it, or what I call Chapter 1 of it, is just still scratching the surface.
Just a scratch. So we're in step in the right direction, but there's still a very long way to go.
It's a long way to go. Any idea whether the president or the executive branch, put it that way more correctly, would let this go as the Senate have passed it? We have no idea. Where are they going to tinker with it?
It's still uncertain. We hope there's no more hold-up, there's no more stalling, and the president can sign it and we can move forward.
One good news at the bottom there, just seem to not to escape everyone, is that the price of oil is still around $70. Why is Brent always getting to 70, then it pulls back, then go to 70, then it pulls back? Is the Brent crude afraid or scared of crossing the 70 once and for all and just start moving on?
I think
are we locked in the $60 a barrel?
We are. It seems we are for the next 2 to 3 years because of these conflicting forces, this tug of war, so to speak, between OPEC and Russia tightening global supply. And on the other side, we see U.S. shale responding to the uptick in oil prices and U.S. oil production increasing significantly. So those two conflicting forces are keeping oil in a range of 60 to 70.
And does it look like Russia and OPEC have really made up their mind the terminal date for this cutback? It looks like they keep moving the needle up or down. So the end of 2019, then they say maybe the Q1 of 2020, then they move it back a little bit. We're not really sure whether there's going to be another extension at the end of next year.
Yes, indeed. There's still a lot of uncertainty. Have OPEC reached their target of reducing global inventories to the 5-year average? It's still uncertain if they have done that. And I think there's a risk if OPEC do not send a signal that they would withdraw completely from the market, then that would send a bad signal to investors. It's like if a central bank wants to withdraw monetary stimulus, that would, and it doesn't send a sufficient signal, that would send that will have a downward effect on the market. So OPEC needs to be careful with the strategy, whether to gradually pull out of that agreement in time for that would not affect the market. Yes.
Or just let go once and for all, and just but again, I think whichever way things go, Nigeria is still enjoying this call it pussyfooting, as it were, around it, because the price is good. The U.S. oil, as I'm looking at it, is about 0.52% to 63.31. That means that Brent is still also keeping its upside.
69.70, yes. So we're still in a very comfortable territory now with oil, regards to oil, and oil production too is also very strong. So in that term, we're very strong. And as you can see, our external reserves have increased by about 7 billion in Q1. So that is a very significant development. And that's why those would argue that there's a compelling argument to reduce the MPR because inflation has come down.
You folks at Financial Derivatives believe that the MPC should go do some haircuts?
Yes.
Maybe not as deep as you have, maybe a little bit like mine.
Even if it's just a slight, let's say a
slight haircut.
25 basis
somewhere
points.
There.
Yes, that would.
We need something. Do you folks at FDC see this happening between now and June? This is the first meeting.
It is a very, very, very huge possibility that it would happen between now and June. I think if you recall to the CBN governor statement I think in November,
yes. With the bankers.
Exactly. Monetary easing is very possible in Q1 18.
Let's see what's happened. Let's see what happened after that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And whatever you folks are doing. I'm sure everything you guys do, part of it has to do with Google search, isn't it?
Yes.
So the woman from Google is here. Juliet is joining us after the break, to discuss what Google Accelerator Launchpad program for Africa means. And they are teed that up from Nigeria. If you want to be part of this 10 million Africans, you better listen very carefully and take a ringside seat. Juliet is here to break it down all for us. And I'm also here to learn more. I could be part of that scholarship. Not too old for schooling.